The key to understanding this unremembered past of the Greek mythographers is we have to understand the few stories about Titans that were preserved. There's not much. We don't need to go into Kronos. Almost all the stories preserved about the Titans are Kronos, the last of the Titans, who actually became the king over the Titans and ruled until the Golden Age collapsed. That's the very end of Titan history. But the beginning of Titan history started with Prometheus and Pandora. This is the key to understanding what happened in the ancient world and what the Greeks are trying to tell us in all their traditions and myths, and how it applies to us today, what it means for us today. Prometheus looked down upon mankind and he realized, man, this is not good. Ordinary humans didn't fare as good as we did through this cataclysmic episode. When the Titans came back from Tartarus, an underground place in the far west, when they returned, they found the state of humans in the Mediterranean, Africa, the Near East, India, Asia. They found them pitiful, Neolithic, living as animals and beasts and naked, and they realized it's terrible. So Prometheus was a benefactor, and according to the Greek legends and myths, he gave mankind fire. Now, this offended Zeus. In the traditions, they try to paint Zeus as a very patriarchal, like a good benevolent deity who just had anger management issues. But it's worse than that. It's worse than that. Zeus was not a benevolent god. He was a liar. He was a womanizer. He had no problems issuing curses, eternal damning condemning people for eternity. He had no problem doing any of this, changing people from humans into animals, transforming humans into monsters. Zeus, you can lay all that to his charge. He did all that, and yet he's supposed to be the great god. Now, he also demonized those who tried to benefit humans. This is what Zeus did. So Prometheus saw this. He saw what was going on and secretly started benefiting humanity. And one of the greatest things Prometheus gave humanity, according to the traditions, is fire. But remember, guys, these are traditions passed through many filters after several resets and collapses. Fire is very important to a simplified Neolithic style living people. But what's being conveyed here is something else. Fire is very important to people to survive when they're at their base level of infrastructure. What's really being conveyed here is that he gave humanity something very important, or Zeus would not have been so offended. Giving mankind fire wouldn't have set Zeus off, because Zeus completely, eternally condemned Prometheus. Not only condemned him and banished him, but also to eternal torture of having an animal eat his liver out every single day, and his liver would grow back. Remember vapor canopy conditions, guys? I told you guys that open wounds heal within minutes and hours. Atmospheric pressure, the oxygen density, vitamin and mineral richness. The vapor canopy world was nothing like the world we live in today. This is why the story of Cain and Abel is so important. It never happened. There was no Cain, there was no Abel. But this is a story that typifies the murder of a man, of somebody during the vapor canopy periods was terrible, was horrific. It's too hard to accidentally kill somebody in a vapor canopy. They're already healing as soon as you hit them. So to kill somebody during vapor canopy conditions means that you really wanted them dead and you had to work for it. So that's the story of Cain and Abel. But here it is with Prometheus too. Prometheus preserves another element of vapor canopy techniques. The fact that Titans healed within minutes or hours or even days. Because as soon as he was healed, this damn animal would appear again and start, while he was chained to a rock, would sit there and eat out his liver again while he was alive. Okay, this is torture, and this is from Zeus, because this individual, Prometheus, chose to indulge a secret to mankind. We're going to get to that. So, that's my Prometheus notes. Zeus, you would think that eternal torture and imprisonment would be enough, but it's not. The very fact that Zeus continued punishing by extending that punishment to Prometheus's brother. Prometheus's brother, there's that guy, I can't pronounce his name, Epimetheus, I think. Epimetheus. All right. His brother, we're going to call him Epi. You got that? We're just going to call him Epi from here on out. Well, Epi was the brother of Prometheus. Zeus was so offended by this secret that was shared to mankind that the punishment extended to his brother as well, who was innocent. But it was a devious punishment. Zeus fashioned a woman, and he had all the other gods participate by giving that woman something, made her super beautiful. Because according to the Greek traditions at this time, there were no females. The entire world was titans and human males. Now, I know it sounds weird, but this is just the way the Greek tradition came down to us. I think they got it wrong, but I think that's a little too much patriarchal overtones that crept into the narrative. But that's okay. The punishment extended to Epi. Epi received a present from Zeus. Highly devious. This present was this absolutely goddess, beautiful, mortal woman named Pandora. So Pandora has the best of all gods, creations put into her. And her name actually means, Pandora actually means all gifts. But this is deceitful. So this is also a clue to the nature of Zeus. So after Pandora was accepted by Epi, Zeus sent her a jar and told her by under no circumstances open that jar. You know damn well mortal's going to open that jar. You know we are absolutely, completely programmed to do the exact opposite of what we're told. You know we are. Hell, I'm an errant. I know I'm going to do the opposite of what I'm told. So, yeah, I learned by experience. I can have 10 wise men all telling me something in front of me, and Jason's gonna go do it anyway, and then I'm gonna be wiser for it because I'm gonna know you told me the truth, and I'm gonna know exactly what the consequences are after I did it, no matter how dumb it is. So, where are we at? So she's told not to open it, but of course, Pandora opens it, and this is the play on words here. Pandora means all gifts. But it wasn't talking about all the gifts the gods gave to make her more and more beautiful. It was talking about all the gifts Zeus was giving mankind through a female who was going to disobey him. So she did that. She opened the lid, and all the woes and ailments, war, torment, misery, disease, everything negative in the human experience now came out of the jar, filled the world, and woman got blamed for it. So Zeus isn't who you think he is. But this Greek account is no different than what the Hebrew writers did when they were going through the Babylonian archives and libraries, and they put together the book of Genesis, for they did the same thing. They invented a woman named Eve. Eve means mother of all living, and they did the same thing. They had her eat a forbidden fruit. She was told not to eat of the tree of knowledge, and she did. The tree of knowledge here is no different than the vase. The jar contained something that Pandora would be curious about. The tree contained something that Eve would be curious about. I'm not saying Pandora is real. I'm not saying Eve is real. I'm saying that concepts are being married here by institutions in the ancient world that were one, basically fighting a war against matriarchy from a patriarchal perspective, and two, that were applying concepts to memories and turning them into pronouns. We're talking about events in the ancient world, not people. So, Zeus did this and blamed the jar, the container, for releasing all these things into the world. But that's not true. All these things already exist. And the hint of that is in Genesis as well, because we already know that the existence of a tree of knowledge of good and evil absolutely admits that good and evil both existed before Eve ever disobeyed. So the hint of what was really being talked about here is that there was an ancient cataclysm. There was a cataclysm in the ancient world that did humanity bad. They were hiding underground for a long period of time. They came back up and instantly got set upon by something that started molding their history and blaming humans for the very conditions that they were living in. Something nefarious, something that was inside this world that wanted humans to blame themselves for what it itself had done. This is where I'm going. So, the elements of the Titan narrative, I'm going to read this to you. The elements of the Titan narrative reveal that both humankind opened up a container that released something new and dreadful into the world. And this also allowed for humans to be the subject of repeated destructions. But a benefactor had given mankind a key, and this key connected to hope. Remember, in the bottom of the jar, hope still remained. Everything evil came out the jar, but she shut that lid and there was still hope inside. So, to hope, which must be so powerful that the God of this world has done everything it can to stop succeeding generations from learning what that secret is that was shared by Prometheus. So terrible are these attempts to eradicate this secret that humans have had to hide in the underworld somewhere in the West multiple times. So Pandora's box is actually Pandora's jar. Humanity initiated something they could not contain. This is the introduction. Zeus is AIX.